to them. That's why I learned that off Dan Patrick's show, because if you play over 7 seconds, then you do have to pay a royalty. But because, but then again, like Dan Patrick's show and whatever else, they're for profit, right? So since we consider not for profit, then that's how we can get away with playing it, because we're not trying to monetize off of that. Even though I think it'd be great if, like, oh, these guys are playing my new album. How great is that? But people don't look at it that way.
Are you going without headphones?
Yeah, because my hair.
You are such a fucking pussy.
All right, I'm gonna hit record.
So he's just gonna sound really bad today.
I love that watch, man. It's a really nice watch.
Oh, sorry. It fit better when I had this on. Go ahead.
I don't think
No.
you
Thank you. My wife.
If you want me to
Nice.
try it on, I totally can.
Yeah, here, take it. My wife gave it to me.
Yeah.
1, 2.
I have a weird fascination with timekeepers.
So
Have you ever? Are we recording?
I mean,
it's practice recording.
It's recording, but we can edit out this part
No,
of
I
the
was
live
just-
video thing.
All this stuff gets cut out. Yeah.
No, I was just asking because sometimes good conversations happen.
Oh yeah. We'll hold off because I'll as soon as BJ gives me the signal, then I'll introduce everybody.
So we'll go to Juice, Jonny, there, and then there. So go ahead and just make sure everything sounds like not too loud or anything.
Test. Hopefully I sound good without headphones on.
Well, you don't. So
You never fucking sound good. Shut up.
Juice.
oh, testing 1, 2, 3.
All right, you're good.
All right, testes. 1, 2, 3.
I'm gonna have to probably turn him up. 1,
Okay.
2, 3, 4. All right. Because that mic or whatever, and then you can go ahead down at the end.
Testing.
Kind of like this.
Testing.
All
1,
right.
2, 3.
All right, we're good. So just give it about 5 seconds and then go.
All right. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Juice in the Morning. I'm your host, Justin Juice Kelly. Johnny's over there making stupid fucking faces at me already. So we know this is about to be a shit show. So how are you doing today, Johnny?
Getting ready for a shit show, so it's gonna be a good one.
We've got producer BJ with us, running the ones and twos. And then we also have a couple of special guests with us that are two very funny local comedians. We've got Terry Shepard and Mitch Downs. How you doing, Terry?
Fantastic.
I appreciate you joining us on the podcast. It's I think I've had multiple conversations with you, but I've probably been about 13 beers deep each
Yeah.
time. So I'm ready to have an actual real conversation with you and remember what we're actually talking about. So
Right. Yeah, I think I was about half as many beers deep. But yeah, pretty close.
And then we've got also to my right, we got Mitch Downs. How are you doing today? I
Hello,
appreciate you joining the
everybody.
podcast.
Yeah, no, glad to be here. I'm excited. This is fun
Yeah,
already.
I met Mitch at the Level Up comedy show that we did. What was that, like a month ago?
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
packed out.
Yeah, it was a good time. It was fun. It was a fun atmosphere.
Is that the Level Up Gaming place?
Yeah, the Level Up Gaming Lounge. I never really heard anything about the success of it or not. Like, I assume it was
Yeah.
successful because there was a lot of people there.
Well, no, I mean, honestly, there's no they don't serve food
Right.
or liquor.
Mm-hmm.
So like, there's just certain things you got to have in place to like continue a show. So like, I haven't talked to Papa G, so it could be, you know, I have no clue what's going on
Right.
with that.
Yeah, I'm sure he's working on something. I feel like he always has something in the works. He's scheming on something. So,
But I mean,
think-
it was packed out.
Yeah.
They just, you know, it was.
how did you guys like the front row ladies that were like two sheets to the wind?
They were great. I
They
liked
were
it.
awesome.
So
I think Jeff had a better time with them.
I know.
Well, yeah,
That's
telling them to
probably
shut
one
up.
of the best Instagram videos of
I
all
was-
time.
I was just happy about it because the first show we did there was also we had it pretty packed, but nobody sat in the front row because the seats were too close.
Yeah.
So I found a good distance from
Yeah.
the stage.
Yeah, you for sure did. And
So-
they, like, what's really funny is I thought it was gonna like really throw me off because they were talking. I can't really hear myself, so I don't know if it's the
Yeah, you just faded out.
headphones or if the mic went out. There we go. But no, I thought it was going to throw me off because I had never dealt with somebody talking or talking to me during stand-up comedy yet. And what's funny is I heard them like they kind of distracted me, and I was like, should I say something? No, I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to continue. And then they just kind of shut up because the one that was talking heard something I said and laughed, and then she just went about her business and stopped like interrupting the show, I guess, if that makes sense. So I was very happy with that. I got lucky,
Well,
is what I said.
now I'm curious, so I've got a question for you guys. How long have you been doing comedy?
I am not quite a year performing comedy.
Okay.
Yeah, I've written like a handful of shorts and feature films.
Oh,
with a
nice.
comedian, so I kind of already had that background, but
Have you had any hecklers that you've gone after
a couple
or
maybe.
put back in their place?
Yeah, a couple.
Yeah.
One time I just told somebody I love you and just stared at him.
That's a power.
That's
move.
powerful. That's big dick energy right there.
Like, I'll hug you if you keep talking.
Yeah.
Come here, you big beautiful bitch.
Keep talking like that. I'll come down there and kiss you, and then 2 years later, you're gonna wake up. We're gonna have a mortgage, 2 kids. And you have no
right.
idea what happened.
You're gonna end up with. I'm gonna buy you drinks if you don't quit it. Like, that would be yeah.
How about you, man?
I started in I think it was like 2012.
Okay.
I mean,
Nice.
I doing it when you can kind of thing. I picked up the open mics that I do on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, mostly just because it's like going to the gym for comedy.
Right.
Like it's
And,
not.
and what are those called, just in case people are...
That's so the Tuesday mic is free for all for comics. Show up, go up, or people can text me. But that's at the Ellison Brewery. Used to be a tow yard.
Oh, yeah.
But that one, and then 1949 Tavern in Beech Grove.
Heard good things about both of those.
Yeah.
How do you like them?
I mean,
They're okay.
you know what? If you want to have a comedy scene, like you got to have mics where people can just go try new things.
And it's like you said, it's like working out. It is like working out. It's like kind of like you're giving people opportunities to work out their material and make it so that it's show ready.
Mm-hmm.
So
you
that's
kind of
awesome.
explained that to me on the way here when I was.
Yeah. I kind of I was telling him because we have that show coming up the 28th of February. The Catch Your Breath.
29th.
29th, yes, that's right. I'm sorry.
Both of them.
Both days, yeah.
But yeah, I was telling him on the way here, before the Level Up show, I had a lot more nerves because I didn't really get up before it. Like I practiced at home, but I was really busy with work, so I didn't drive out to any really open mics. And I was telling him, I was like, the more open mics you do before a show, at least in my opinion, it lessens that amount of time it takes me to feel comfortable on stage. So like going into Level Up, it took me like the first 2 or 3 jokes that I told, I was like, all right, now I'm comfortable. Whereas a couple of shows before that, like the Raintree Inn show that we did in Newcastle, I did 4 open mics the week before. And then I was I just felt completely fine going up. No nerves, nothing, no stress, kind of. I mean, a little bit of nerves, but nothing like what it is if you don't practice. So it's kind of like you guys giving that opportunity to comedians is a great thing. I mean, I think that's probably really appreciated by the scene in Indianapolis.
Yeah, I mean, I got a lot of people that sign up beforehand, and then a lot of people that don't make the list at one of these other clubs, and they come through. But I mean, I'm booked. I've got shows. I'm looking at April, but it's starting to get into the summer.
Yeah.
So the open mic is kind of more important now that I got actual shows coming down the road.
Yeah.
So it's fun.
Yep. Terry, did you put together the Catch Your Breath thing?
Yeah.
Can you give us some details about that, like how it came to be and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, so I initially got roped into this whole climbing 47 flights of stairs for the American Lung Association maybe 8 years ago because my wife's a respiratory therapist.
Okay.
Otherwise, I would just be a fat piece of shit. And just Saturday morning, I'm not gonna do shit. I'm just gonna nurse a hangover.
Yeah,
So-
exactly.
So we've been doing that for a while, and a couple years ago we did a show. I reached out. I have a friend that is a touring comic, and I just said, "Hey, would you be interested in maybe doing a comedy show to raise money?" And then we contacted Morty's Comedy who was a club at the time, and they said, "Let's do it."
Nice.
Yeah. So then, fast forward another 2 years, and Mitch and I are getting together, and I said, "Do you think we could pull off a show?" And he said, "Do you think we could pull off 2 shows?"
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I
fuck
like
yeah.
that.
Well, I just wanted to say, I mean, you can kind of give more details on the comedians that are going to be there, but there's a very good list of comedians. Like, I feel very honored that you guys asked me to be a part of it because there's a lot of really good comedians, and I don't feel like I'm all that good, but I appreciate being able to associate with those people and being a part of it.
I can't wait to just sit there and watch it happen. I'm excited about that.
Well, I mean, one reason I did all these mics is to meet all these people that that we're doing the show with, and one thing that you deal with being a local comedian is like these big clubs. When they have a big show, it's somebody that's from out of town.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So it's like when you're always around, it's hard to get these clubs to put you on.
Right.
So and people want you to bring people on a Tuesday or Wednesday or Monday or whatever day of the week it is, but really like you don't get anybody. I mean, Saturday is the best day in my opinion for a comedy show because
you can't get as many excuses from people.
Yeah, like Friday, you do a Friday show, and like easily, I can picture all my friends picking Friday beers over my show.
Right.
You know what I mean?
So is that kind of how clubs work? Where like even if it's a Tuesday, like is it based upon like how many seats you fill?
Yeah. Well, so here's the thing: you almost have to, I hate to say it, but the show business thing. It's like so I had a good comic that I met in Chicago. They do the Laugh Factory twice a month, and he gave me some good advice on how like when you're doing shows you're booking to people that want to see people but also you're trying to make a good show. So like when I make a show I try to make myself at the worst comic on the show if I
Right.
if I can, because if I get a bunch of people come out to see me, it's okay if they laugh at me, but I want the rest of the lineup to be
And
good.
yeah, you
But-
want to put on a good show for the people that you're
And-
getting to come there.
And what I'm saying is, I know it's here in Indianapolis. Like, there's comedians that are that are worth seeing, and if if you get everybody on, that's how we get these shows for us local people.
Right.
Is what I'm saying is like you kind of take control of it, and eventually, when you grow to a certain point, then you can do shows out of you're the person from out of town.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right. I'm just a curious fan because I'm sitting on the outside looking in, to your
Right.
guys' world, and I'm curious.
Yeah,
How that
so
worked.
so give us more details about the 28th and the 29th because that's coming up
Yep.
here really quick. That'll be next week
Yeah. Next what?
or
Friday.
next Friday and Saturday.
Saturday, yeah.
So when this comes out, it'll be this Friday and Saturday.
Leap Day Eve and Leap Day.
Yeah.
47 floors. Was it the Bank One building downtown?
Yeah, which is now.
Because what? That's 50,
Salesforce or
53 floors, I think.
Yeah, I mean we
I
go
used to
all
work-
the way up to the top. Yeah.
Yeah, I actually I had
I definitely won't be joining you on that.
Well, there's also an elevator that takes you up to. I used to change the light bulbs.
Observation.
Yeah, like they got all the FBI cameras and everything on the outside.
wow.
Bob and Tom. That's where Bob and Tom has their
Tower,
whole. Yeah, it's
their antenna. And,
Oh, really?
Are you-
scariest job I've ever had in
Are
my
you
life.
guys, are you guys doing the climb?
I had no idea. I'm down.
I actually
When
had
is
a
it?
knee injury, so I can't do it. So
Okay.
you guys could do
that's
it
that's
for
a
me.
really good excuse. though.
I can send you all the stuff, getting you registered. It's at the Salesforce Tower, March 7th. So
Yeah,
it's the
definitely
following
send us
Saturday.
send
Yeah.
us the stuff so that I can make him do it, and then
No, we'll do it together,
No,
holding
if-
hands and
no.
holding the juice in
hey,
the morning
it'll be
flag.
it'll be very similar to when we had our race. I just won't show up, and you'll do it.
Hey, that's a valid point.
Well, and if you guys haven't, or anybody listening hasn't been to the Salesforce Tower, it's kind of a pretty sweet tower.
Yeah.
Salesforce is, I hear they're doing good.
Is that the Bank One building or Chase?
doing
I know it
okay.
changes names.
Yeah, it
so
used to be Bank One, Chase, now it's Salesforce.
Salesforce, gotcha.
Crushing it.
See, we can climb those stairs holding up the juice in the morning flag. You know what I'm
BJ
saying?
is diving into the Krispy Kreme box. Thank you for bringing those along, Terry. This
For
is
sure.
this is one of the first, I
You
think,
said-
episodes that we got close to actually recording in the morning.
He sent him next to the fat guy. Do you notice that?
No, that's awesome. Like I said, definitely send us the information and also share it with people too, just to see if we can get people out there.
Yeah.
One of the things that I also wanted to kind of dive into today, and this is going to kind of maybe feel a little bit like patting ourselves.
We're
on the
gonna get
back,
emotional.
but basically, Bert Kreischer is a national known comedian. Like everybody kind of knows him as the Machine. He had a Rolling Stones article written about him. They based the Van Wilder film, I think, loosely on his kind of college career.
I met him.
And yeah, you met him.
He basically is branded no shirt.
Yeah, exactly. And so
Unbelievable.
he sent a list of his tour dates and stuff that was cool that he should do in all of these locations. Jonny tweeted him and said, "Hey, we'd love to have you on the show." And although he didn't respond, he liked your tweet. And
I got a half chub. I was like, oh
really,
my God!
this has this whole like explanation that I'm doing has really nothing to do with Bert Kreischer. It has everything to do with the people that are
Has
friends.
everything to do with you guys.
Yeah, friends and family of the podcast, of our network. I just wanted to say thank you to everybody that like commented on it, that kind of just made it feel cool that like I didn't realize that we had that kind of reach with our friends and network, like that many people would actually. I know it takes 5 seconds to go to a tweet and like it and retweet it or comment on it, but for there to be 20 or 30 people to do that for us just off the drop of a hat within an hour was awesome.
I mean, that support is so important because it's kind of like having friends or family show up to your shows. In my opinion, where it's like we feel like sometimes we're just kind of talking to ourselves.
Exactly.
Like there's 3 or 4 people listening.
When you're looking at the stats on a podcast, you're like, "Fuck!" Like I thought that was a great podcast, and like feels like I didn't even listen to this. But
and then like your guys' support, everybody that came together and just kind of helped us inspired and humbled us. I kind of take it in as if like you're up on stage, you look in a crowd, and you see your wife, your kids, your mom, your dad, your brother.
You legitimately take it for granted, because and you don't even do it on purpose that you're taking it for granted. You just don't feel like your
you don't
network
I
or
do.
your group is really that powerful or that good. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh man, all these people were just like showed a lot of kindness to just like help out with something
there was
that
other
we were
people
trying to do.
that said some things that I was like, I'm not crying. That's a really nice comment that they said.
So it was great. I just wanted to share that because, like I said, really we were just trying to get his attention, just to see if he would do, a quick interview or something like that. I even told Jonny, I was like, we'll drive to wherever he's partying out after his show and do a mobile recording of something.
The most important thing, and I think that everybody can take away from that, is as a community of comedians that you are all in right now, like. It just shows how like quickly you guys are. You guys
can't handle that.
Yeah, it just shows how quickly you guys like all can come together, show support, have each other's back, and I think that's very important. You know what I mean?
Do you ever feel like more strangers support you in comedy than like your actually friends and family?
I'd rather strangers support me. Like 1,000%.
Yeah, for sure.
Pray
I mean,
tell?
I see
keep
what
up
you're
with, like,
talking
50
about.
people,
Yeah.
if 50 people, support me wholeheartedly, I'm going nowhere.
Right.
I want 1 million weirdos to follow.
There you
me,
go.
Yeah.
That makes sense
I
from a
talk about
business standpoint. I agree with that.
I talk a lot of shit about my family too when I on stage. So I think I'd rather just strangers.
I'm a huge fan of your social media. I'm a huge fan of your social media, man. Your Instagram's one of my favorites to follow.
Oh, I appreciate
your
that, yeah.
videos are
I have a lot of
awesome.
fun with catch the short bus.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, go ahead.
No, I was
Sorry,
just,
that
yeah,
sounded
no, sorry.
It
No, I was
didn't.
just gonna say like I've never like measured myself on like how many people I know support me. I mean, I appreciate the support from people that I know, my family and friends, but like it's you put pressure on them if you're like, hey, come, like I'll let them know about things, but like if they want to support me, that's awesome. But
It's not like, hey, here's your fucking ticket. Be there at 7.
yeah, well, I guess what I'm getting at is like it's not like I'm like I think I'm above anything. It's just like, if you listen to how your friends feel about things, you don't keep doing it and keep doing it.
Right.
You're just doing it because this is what you want to do. I heard something one time about people was like, the people that are in the entertainment business are the people that want to be in their entertainment business. Like they just don't quit doing what they're doing, and eventually it's like that compounding effect in investing.
Yeah.
Like whatever you're doing, whether it's music or podcasting or comedy, it starts slow, and then there's the hockey stick moment.
Right.
One good year changes things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and
But deep down, don't we all just want the acceptance of our friends and family?
That's yeah. Well,
Ooh.
I mean, I think it like
You sound like a kid that grew up without a dad.
I think
ding, ding, ding. We have a winner.
kind of what you're thinking. Like if when you do make it big and you got a bunch of money, that's when you want to
Right.
like pay for the high school reunion.
Right.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, hey guys,
Right.
I'll take care. You know, like
And-
rub it in everybody's face. That's what.
And just to be clear here, I did grow up with a dad.
You did.
No, I feel
No, I
I'm-
really did.
I
Stone Cold
did,
Steve
yeah.
Austin via TV.
I'm filling that hole that my dad left. That's really why I'm doing this.
No,
No,
the reason I brought that up though too is like because BJ can attest to this too, that he feels like more like you get more interaction from like people that you don't know, and it feels good when like one of your family members or friends finally starts to like take notice, and then they like bring up something that you talked about on the podcast or something that you did, because it's like, oh, finally, like I've been doing this for 5 years, and you finally just listened, and you're like, hey, I really enjoyed this part, and I was like, thank you.
They
That's
noticed
all
me.
I've been wanting.
Well,
Like,
how do you think I feel when my own parents are like, "Yeah, Justin's awesome on that podcast," and I'm like, "Yeah, I do it too."
I mean, I invite my mom to every show.
Yeah.
Like, she's probably like, I'm saying I want strangers to be my fans, but
Right.
like my mom has been to more shows than anybody.
Dude,
It makes
and my
sense that-
wife, like, like
It makes sense that strangers connect more though, because like you're speaking what they wish they could say out loud.
Right.
Like you're. Yeah,
well, and the thing is like your friends, like they knew you from like however long they've known you, and
Right.
like when I'm doing comedy, like it doesn't always that isn't always what they envisioned my
Right.
comedy looking like. You know what I mean?
Right.
This isn't what some of your friends envisioned your podcast looking like.
Yeah,
You
it's
know what
it's
I
a lot
mean?
different than we're sitting at the lunch table chopping it up and.
But a stranger sees the podcast and they can relate.
Right.
Because they don't have all these things that they remember about you.
Tony
Oh,
Sanders.
That's a valid point. Very
Tony
valid point.
Sanders brought up very important stuff like that on like his Instagram posts about the fact that
Tony Sanders is
He's-
he's got a good
he's
a
awesome.
good follow.
yeah, he's great. But he brought something up like that was very intriguing to me, was just what people see in their mind about your comedy or about what you're doing is very, very likely to be, and I'm paraphrasing because I'm not saying it probably exactly as eloquently as he did, but
We
basically-
want it verbatim.
basically people's perception of your comedy can be wildly different than what you think you're putting out there, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So like that's why I've
I
talked
think
to him
that
a few
depends
times.
on the comedian.
He's
'cause
very-
you can't say that about somebody like Jim Norton.
What? Say what? That the perception of him is different than what.
I mean, him talking about sucking a
thinks
hooker's
he's doing-
toes or something. Like, you know what I mean?
Wow.
Like that's
Well,
Jim
but
Norton.
he's also he
Yeah.
also comes from like shock jock
Hey,
radio.
You pay for it.
Yeah.
You know, he also comes from like shock jock radio and is a weird guy.
Yeah, and he just forget I said anything.
All you gotta do is say shock jock.
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine being a shock jock like day in, day
Can you
out.
define a shock jock? Because I'm lost here. I do not know.
I guess-
Shock jock is like
I think I get the gist of it.
what's the guy that's the
Howard
biggest name?
Stern.
Howard Stern.
I
Yeah.
keep thinking of like
Mancal out of Chicago.
Mancal, yeah.
Yep.
I keep thinking of like jock straps and tasers. That's all I thought about.
Because he's like
Weird. Hey, I did not know that about myself actually. It's fucking weird.
I think Johnny has
Whoa.
occasionally like acid like trips that like reoccur.
Flashbacks.
Yeah. Either that or he's just having like what is it when people start kind of like stumbling over their words and not being able to say
A
things.
stroke?
Stroke.
Stroke,
that's
raise-
it.
just
Y'all
raise
got
your arm.
lizard eyes.
this one.
But no.
Give him an aspirin.
But yeah, so let's kind of pivot from there to a couple of things that we've kind of seen in the internet and in the kind of the what is it the
Hey Jamie, can you pull up the?
don't call him Jamie.
I got.
That's for the dad comment.
I got one for you guys real fast.
Okay.
Not that one.
Whoa.
This one.
Let's
The naked house
go.
cleaner.
I'll show you.
Hey,
Okay.
if
That one right there.
Arnold get her pregnant.
Steven Spielberg's daughter to start career in adult entertainment. I saw
She
her
learned from
and
the
she
best.
is not that
hot.
great.
She's hot.
It doesn't matter
She's
how
not-
hot she is.
she's
Can
not
she
that great.
perform?
I didn't think so. I don't
Is she gonna write like
I haven't
sex
seen it
books?
yet.
I mean, it doesn't matter if she's hot. Can she pretend to be a good stepsister?
No, is she? No, for real though.
mean, her
Have
dad
you
is
read the article?
Right.
Is she gonna perform or write?
Yeah,
Like-
that's a good question.
Her scripts are gonna be so big, like, like no, we only need like a 5-minute
Right.
thing. She's like, no, this is a
While she's
3-hour
blowing him,
book.
can we get an explosion in the
And
background?
she's got to have like $13 million
Whoa.
for special effects.
yeah.
Okay, wait a minute. She looks way too young to be.
Yeah, why is she got an? Why does she have a 24-year-old body with an 8-year-old head?
Right.
And she kind of looks like that dwarf kid that we think is a scam.
No.
Right. Is he a scam?
Well,
That's what I've been
that's
hearing.
what I want to see. We're going to
You know,
dive into that too.
Watch. Well, if I was Steven, I'd make like a scary like adult like some girl goes into adult filming and something scary happens, like a big book about it. Like
So
I don't think you should do it, honey.
I about
So,
Spielberg didn't do
In
Terminator.
that
I about
article,
messed up.
BJ, did it state if she
That
was
was Spielberg.
performing or if
Damn.
she was
She's going to be
producing?
performing.
Okay.
Spielberg did like what? Titanic, Jurassic
No,
Park.
you're
E.T.
Titanic.
Same guy.
Go ahead.
Spielberg didn't do Titanic.
No,
No,
that
that's
was
the
James
same.
Cameron.
James
James
Cameron. That's the
Cameron.
Terminator
And-
guy.
and he did-
I always
he did
get those two
Terminator,
mixed
yeah.
up.
He did like Raiders of the Lost Ark, so she has like
Yeah.
this whole
Avatar,
title.
that
Yeah.
shitty movie.
Yeah.
Oh, so if she goes to Greek
Indiana
mythology,
Jones.
so if you know like Pandora's box from Greek mythology and how that originated there, she could, you open up this box and all the bad things come out. But
People are gonna be like, it was adult film, but it was good.
right.
Do you remember?
Like she's a great actress.
when she opened that box and all those dudes melt, the face melt.
Do you
I don't
remember
know.
E.T.'s finger?
Yep.
Yeah.
She's 29 years old.
Oh wow.
No, she's
Okay.
not.
Yes, she is.
She's
Wow.
got 14-year-old shoulders, Kobe Bryant's length and body
Oh,
height,
no.
and then she's got
These
like
are old pictures, though. I think.
Look how uncomfortable he looks.
Yeah.
Well, now
he's like I knew
Well,
I knew I
he's very uncomfortable now.
I knew I should have pulled
This looks like more like a Woody Allen photo.
Do you think that he's?
Oh, dude.
Do you think that he's like?
Dude. He's
like,
definitely.
Do you think
come
he's
on
in
before.
support, or do you think he's obviously completely against this?
Well, I mean, most of them are pedophiles out there anyway. So
I mean,
Oh, wow.
He's in Hollyweird.
if you didn't accidentally pull out and then you got that happening, how would you feel?
at least they're not in the Church of Scientology. So
I'd be like, what if I just gave you a part? And
Okay.
like a lead in my next movie.
row two,
Like, if
picture
you want to
9.
be famous, let's do this.
this one,
Row 2, picture 9.
Is it a picture?
Is that
or
the
a
whole
picture?
family plus the adopted person?
That one, the one on the right's definitely Spielberg's.
no,
daughter,
this doesn't.
right?
Oh, that's
Yeah.
Drew Barrymore.
Yeah,
You know what? You know what though?
Could be could be his wife or a side piece.
You know what? I'm not gonna knock this though, because like, this is obviously her choice.
right.
Like her dad is Steven
Oh yeah, it's her pussy, her
Spielberg.
choice.
She doesn't have to
She
do
doesn't ha-
anything.
yeah, you're
and this
right.
is what she wants to do.
Right.
Like maybe
Yep.
she's got it figured out that it's right for her.
yeah, but she
you know?
announced it like
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Well, you
was
got to
weird.
announce it.
No, you
though.
But the
No.
best part is
Oh,
he's
no,
probably
just
texting her and he was
Start
like,
doing it.
I mean,
Yeah.
most porn stars they don't like announce that they're getting ready to do it.
Yeah,
They
they-
just-
It's
they
a
kind of
pre-
fall
"That's
into
how
it.
that's how you know like you're unattractive." In my opinion,
They let-
it's like most people they just go out and they just start sucking dick, and she's like, "Hey, I want to suck some dick." So, who's trying to put it out there?
It's her pre-launch.
Yes.
Just trying to work up.
or maybe her and Steven like just had like the nuclear argument, like the one that changed. She's like, okay,
I'm just gonna
I
go
know
do
you-
porn now.
Okay.
Dad.
maybe she can't be on his health insurance anymore. She's about to turn 30, and she's just pissed.
he changed the Wi-Fi password. She's like, oh,
Fuck you, Dad. I'm
took away her
going.
Xbox.
I'm gonna wear the Avatar suit and go. That's Spielberg, right?
No,
then how did
James
you-
Cameron. God damn it!
There's 3 James
God damn it!
But it's the right
Avatar too. Did you guys catch that? It's Avatar.
That's
All
why.
right.
That's what I meant to say. And you know it. Shut up. Shut your face.
Avatar.
I'm gonna start calling you BJ.
No, I know
Man,
my
I'm gonna
movies.
start making-
Hey, you know what? It's like hold on. It's like he's known for writing scary books, right? Steven Spielberg.
No, is he?
That's Stephen
Stephen
King.
King.
Stephen
oh
King.
shit! I'm thinking Stephen King. Now I'm stupid.
Have any of you
Damn.
guys checked out his son show, Lock and Key?
No.
No.
My wife has
Why
watched
did you say it like that?
Because it's stupid. I watched like a very little bit of it.
It's very stupid,
while
but
Jen's got
it is
on.
interesting. But I was also drinking.
I need to start like actually reading and doing something productive instead of just playing on my phone while Jen's watching these.
I've got
stupid
3
TV
books
shows.
coming. You can have one of them to take.
Yeah.
You want?
We'll see. I don't know.
Sapiens, a brief.
I say it,
history
but then
of
I'm probably
humankind.
not gonna
But-
do it.
So did you guys see the video of the lady leaning back in the seat on a plane and then
Yeah.
old boy playing?
Yeah.
Because when you said E.T.'s finger, I thought about that. What are your guys' thoughts?
BJ, could you pull that video up?
What
The one with the guy punching the back of the.
I just want to
The,
get it.
the only thing I want to know was the plane on the ground or in the air?
Yeah,
That's
Like
in the
we're,
air.
if they, so they were at the right altitude. Like they were, it was
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, no, you can only lean back
yeah,
like
you got like
an
2
inch and a
inches, yeah.
half.
Right.
Like that guy's that petty for an inch and a half.
Yeah, and
Like,
he
or
was the
whatever.
very back seat, so like obviously he can't
can't
recline.
recline,
So
yeah.
it's-
I
it
applaud
feels
him.
Like, it feels like he was just a little envious about the reclining.
Seat
You
envy.
applaud him.
I'm devil's advocate here.
Get
so
outta here.
I,
Get the fuck
I
outta
always
here.
am. I applaud him.
What
and
airline
her.
was it?
I applaud both of
It's
them.
got to be like Spirit
What
or
air-
something.
I
like
applaud
Yeah.
him for having the persistence to be that level of asshole. Because
Okay.
I mean, that was like
He
a
was
3-minute.
committed, yeah.
That was like a 3-minute video of just.
He was all in.
I just asked because like if whichever airline it is, some airlines you pick that seat.
Yeah,
Like,
that. Yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
you know where
absolutely.
you're sitting. So like, I don't know.
But I mean, it's like you're even the angle of the video. It's not obstructing his view of what he's watching.
But don't we feel like she's kind of a bitch too for just sitting there recording it?
No, because I would do the same thing she did.
You know,
I would have.
no,
Like absolutely.
you know what the real thing is like they know how to do this stuff more comfortably. You
Right.
know what I
Right.
mean? But they got to
They're just
pack
trying to
us in.
shoehorn people in there
You know
to
what I
get more
mean?
money.
And I get it.
Oh, here it is.
Yeah.
He's not even really doing it that hard.
But it also makes me wonder: was there an altercation before they even
That's
boarded
a
the
good
plane?
question. That's a very good question. Maybe not even before they boarded the
He
plane,
was
but
eating,
Maybe-
and she leaned back. It really, he was
Oh,
eating,
really?
and she leaned back, and he asked if she could. I think I'm almost positive. He asked if she could, lean back forward till he was done. He got done. She leaned back again.
he does.
Oh,
You
shit.
can tell he like that was the
But-
point when he looked up. That was the point that he committed fully. He was like, "No, I'm doing this forever."
It kind of looked therapeutic for a moment, like so relaxing.
The dude's an idiot.
I'll tell you what though. I saw
Oh,
her.
to press charges. Get the fuck out of here.
I
Don't
saw
do that
her
either.
talking
ridiculous.
about it, and she used the word hit and punch. It's like he's nudging.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. That's
you know
where
what I
it's like-
mean?
I would just use it to get like free airline tickets or something.
Yeah,
on the
you-
airline.
oh,
Like,
for
look,
sure they would.
This is what I had to put up with. The whole
But look at
flight.
the-
See, I would have pulled a Terry and turned around and been like, "I love you."
Look at those eyes though, right there.
Oh, that's the eyes of people of
That's
someone.
a serial killer.
He's got people locked up in his basement, and I'm not talking about in a fun way.
No,
Like,
that-
That's the main.
it's not a
point,
sex
though.
dungeon. It's a you're dead dungeon.
Like
down
I
there.
don't know. Like I get we're in the age of the internet, but like if a guy like that's sitting behind me and is like, "Can you please scoot up?" I'm scooting up. Like
Yeah.
I'm not pulling my camera out.
Yeah,
that
the-
guy scares me. Like,
like
look at
the-
those eyes.
Like pretty much the next step is that's not a knife, and then I'm dead
Yeah.
because it comes to the seat.
he got his pocket knife in because it's actually a fingernail clipper or something.
Those are the eyes of a 4-hour layover in Tacoma. He's like, I just want to get home. And Karen up here.
I just want to get home and masturbate.
He's hungover, probably.
I don't know, man. I'm not.
That's why I'm glad I've only flown once in my life.
I used to be
Once?
on an
Once.
airplane every 7 to 14 days for 3 years straight. Fuck. Right? So I know all about flying on airplanes, right? And like
That's why his immune system is so strong.
yeah. and right there, like I would never do that. Like I would never.
Would you not lean it?
Do the
or
lean back or the
punch?
or
No,
the nudge?
like
both.
if their seat leans back that far, that means the airline's made it lean back that far. That has nothing to do with that. But I have got up and like, ma'am, can you tell your son to quit having a seizure in this chair?
That's for real.
And she goes, what do you mean? I go, he like I don't care if he leans back, but he's going up and down like a Jack in the Box. Could you please tell him to stop that because I have my tray down and I have drinks here. It's going to spill it. Well, he's just a young kid, and I was like, it's not my
It's
kid.
neither
not
here
my-
nor there.
Irrelevant.
I go, it's not my kid, not my
Give him
problem.
a Benadryl.
But no, I mean, I've been in weird circumstances, and like Southwest, you can pick your own seat, right?
Mm-hmm.
I paid extra for preferred seating,
Yeah.
so that way you get the board first, right? But here's where the problem is: they let all armed forces go on first, which is fine. Then all handicapped people go on, and then they like a couple other people. By the time you get on, there's 50 people on the plane already,
Right.
on a 150-seat plane.
So why do they call it preferred seating?
It's not.
Exactly.
It's all bullshit.
They prefer not
yeah.
to say.
I'd
They got
prefer-
other shit to do.
I'd prefer to spend as less time, least amount of time on a plane as possible. So put me on last. and then
Yeah,
take off.
I'm
Right.
with you. I don't care where I'm sitting.
I just
Oh,
started
yeah.
getting first class because my company paid for the ticket. So and then certain planes I could upgrade the first class if it was open.
See,
It's like
what I also want to add to this is I've flown quite a bit, and I've never had a bad experience on the plane.
You're the world's
always
happiest
easy.
guy.
Yeah.
You know what?
You are the happiest guy I know.
I'm pretty positive. A lot
I
of the
flew to
time.
St. Pete and back Florida last year. That was the first time I ever been on a plane, and it was fucking awesome. I'm not gonna lie, because the edibles that I ate,
Yes.
I could,
Best way to fly.
like I couldn't lean
Bring
back.
the chair closer. I'm staring at it. Right. Does that thing go
like
any further back?
I could.
That's what.
This leather's great.
As a matter of fact, I'm falling, and you're holding me up from the sky right now. I
pattern's
couldn't
so
even
great.
lift my arm to do that nudge.
If we go down, I want this chair really close.
right,
I would have turned
ma'am.
around and said, "Would you like one of these gummies?"
straight up. I mean,
You know what I really think of this? Like, I feel like this is that moment in like like in NFL, he was holding, and then they were holding, so it's like they offset. It's like
right.
You're
you're
right.
an asshole for nudging. It wasn't a punch. It wasn't a hit.
Yeah.
Yep.
But also, like,
You're an asshole for filming.
how long was the flight? Like, if it was a 45-minute flight, just keep the
Come
chair up. You know what I
on.
mean? If it's a 4-hour flight, yeah. Like they were going to L.A. from somewhere.
Yeah. What if it's a red eye though?
I also have. Well, it's not because it's bright.
Oh yeah, that's a valid point, sir.
You could tell he hasn't flown a lot.
Yeah, hey, I forgot. Once I said it, I was like, I wish I could take that back.
It's gone.
So can you also pull
I
up the Caden? I forget what it is. I don't
Oh,
remember
go ahead and
his
say what
last
you wanted
name
to
is.
say. You racist against fucking midgets.
I swear this guy's having a stroke every
No, I've
other
got-
5 minutes.
See, okay, so
It's
have you guys seen this?
QUADE.
The
Yeah, the little kid that
The
was
dwarf.
I've never actually I didn't actually watch the video of him crying.
So okay,
Is it super sad?
it's super sad. Like he sells it really well. But
Yeah, he's a
okay,
good
so
actor. Is it
so
fake?
I've got friends who are dwarves.
Yeah.
And within 20 seconds of watching that video, I was like, this is an adult.
Can I also say
But
what
he-
Johnny said last night when he was saying he had friends that are dwarfs? He was like,
I'm
I
not-
also bullied my friends that were dwarfs.
Okay. So
So he was making it nicer for the podcast, but I had to bring it up.
well, no, because I was gonna get there. Like, I'm not trying to be big-headed about it or make it like a small thing. But I have buddies who are dwarves, and I bullied
Said
them,
big-headed or
and I know the
small
difference.
thing.
Like, you can tell by the size of the forehead whether they're a child or they're.
But there's
Yeah.
a news.
Whether
It's
become
like
an
the
adult.
rings on a tree.
But there's the Australian news from the news channel with him actually on there. They give the date and everything.
Yes.
Did you not see that?
No, they were. But the
But
question
I
is
did watch
he
his
actually
18th birthday party video.
is he actually 9 or because he had a bunch of Instagram posts
could
that got
still be
deleted?
Listen, what
Right.
I seen one with him and a bunch of money.
Yes.
See
A
that?
Lannister always pays his debts.
He was in a strip club making it rain. He was just-
I remember one time I was
Any Game of Thrones fans, let's go.
Okay. All right.
I remember when I was living out in L.A. I had a joke about I said the word midget in one of my jokes, and one of my buddies was at my show, and he's like a doctor of psychology or whatever, and he was like, Mitch, when you say the word midget, like it's very offensive, and I was just like, man, that kills all my material. Like, I can't do
rewrite
that.
everything.
Like I can't do that now.
Yeah.
Now, like
I gotta-
the couple buddies I have, they really don't get offended by that at all.
Yeah. Yeah, no.
Yeah, I have a friend, an actress, and you know, I wrote a role, and I said, "Hey, I apologize. I used the word midget in here a few times," and she's like, "I don't
Right.
care."
It doesn't.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's-
What I want to also touch on, because I feel like we've kind of skated right past it, is Jonny has multiple friends that are dwarves, which I think is interesting because most people don't even have one.
so listen,
So
I have a very
I'm trying to figure out where.
So
like,
I had a very strange life growing up. I just realized this actually the other night. 3 pairs of like really good friends of mine growing up were twins.
Oh wow.
James and Robbie, Steven and Brian, and then there's Mike and Mikkel. That's the only, or sorry, Michaela. That's the only male female one, but the rest are guys. And I was like, oh yeah, a lot of people don't even like know a set of twins, and a lot of people I hung out with were twins.
Were you, like,
Schwarzenegger and DeVito.
yeah.
Were you guys near like a power plant? Like something in the water, just like making the guys.
I grew up
and
in
the women.
Greenfield and Fortville. You know, it's
Yeah.
gonna.
no, he was just such a bad friend. He needed 2 of them so that if he pissed off one, he could at least hang out with the other.
Dude,
There was a family in town had sextuplets. It was like, we don't know what's going on.
It was actually a great advantage for me.
Yeah.
You know, 'cause-
You call one of your homies up, 2 are coming. Like you only got to make 3
Dude,
calls. I got 3 calls.
That's
I'll
what I'm
have 'em
saying. It's
here.
like we about that smoke around here. So when they pull up, you gonna be seeing double, bitch.
So what I want to get is your guys' opinion on: do you think it is a
So have you guys looked into
legitimate thing or not?
Yeah.
I don't know enough.
Have you guys
about
looked into his Instagram or anything?
I saw one video besides the bully video where he's like got all this money and he's fanning it out.
Yeah.
And I've seen some pictures of him like flipping
Yep.
off. The
Yeah.
I was like, wait a minute.
I
this
think
kid might
I think
be-
either way
Wearing
he's
a
famous now.
Wearing
Like,
a
moving
$1,200
forward.
Gucci hoodie. You know,
I just am curious because Brad Williams, the stand-up comedian, like started a
raised
fundraiser
a
for him, and it's like
shitload
what?
of money.
It's like
Yeah.
at 300 grand or
Oh,
something
wow.
like that. And it was because I was like following it on Twitter, and like he would post, "Oh man, so thankful for everybody because this is the original like I think goal was like 10 grand,
yeah.
and it was like." He would post, "Oh, we met our goal. Thank you so much." And then I would see again. He'd post again and be like, "This is
We
crazy."
hit
It's at, like
65K. We hit
65,000.
120K.
Yeah, it's
Now,
crazy.
my curiosity is like, so if this dwarf just fucked over this Brad Williams, the other dwarf, did this kid just become the Jew and Brad just became Hitler? And now there's an all-out dwarf war? Just think about it.
I'm trying to figure.
I love dwarves, but as I used to tell my buddy
It's
Wade,
another crazy thing to say.
whenever when we were teenagers, like he slept over at my house one day, and I was like, "Hey, it's cool if you sleep on a couch, but I don't want to wake up and you're like digging under my bed for gold and shit." You know what I'm saying?
I think Johnny's trying to be as offensive as possible today.
But there's there's actually Instagram of her mother's that says last day of being 8-year-old, and it was from December 12th, 2019. So even before this all blew up.
So, but
But
I
they've
mean,
also-
even him doing the stuff that he did on Instagram that they deleted doesn't necessarily 9.
because one person said he was 18 out of 8 million.
Right.
One person said it, and then
But there was a video of him at an 18th birthday party. Like, there's
Did you see that video? 'Cause
But they
I did
didn't
not
use
see
that.
they didn't use his name as the one that was 18. They just said celebrating an 18th birthday party. Yeah.
But I don't know many 9-year-olds that are standing there doing one of these.
What do you don't remember? You don't.
My kids,
You don't know about that Instagram
My kid-
chick that's like trying to be a rapper.
oh, my kids do that all the time at that age because and then I
They
was-
see it
I'm
all
not
on the
saying I
internet.
didn't, but I wasn't wearing a $3,000 Gucci outfit and doing that at
Yeah.
9 years
Oh, I'm not
old.
saying they didn't scam people for the money they got. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying he is 9 years old.
But this is what I also thought
His
about.
forehead's too big.
What was so interesting for it was the fact that, so like, instantly, something that people tried to do as a nice gesture by raising money for him. Immediately, everybody starts researching like, what's the negative part of this? What dirt can we dig up on these people? What's really funny is I was talking to Jacob Serber and I was like, dude. I like am real excited and I want to get famous, but then at the same time, what the fuck's gonna come out about me
Sure.
that I have no idea and I don't remember doing? There's pictures probably of me somewhere that people have that I don't remember ever being taken, things like that. And it started leading me down a kind of a rabbit hole. And then I got a really weird message on Facebook because Jonny posted on the Juice in the Morning Facebook page. hey, ask us any question you want. We'll answer honestly, blah, blah, blah. The crazier, the better.
Oh yeah, Devon Shoemaker. I've never had my ass ate. He asked that. He wanted us to answer that. So your turn.
Well, and then I got a DM from a guy that was a dad. I hung out with his daughter as like friends. Never dated his daughter.
Dude, it's not gonna go to there, is it?
No. So listen. So this guy asks me just like out of the blue. He DMs me on Facebook and says, "Why'd you steal the money from that poker night that we had?"
What?
And I was like, I typed back. I was like, "What are you talking about?" But then I started kind of running through my head, like, okay, so we used to go over there, and like they were like kind of the cool parents, I guess, even though they're not really that cool because they were just letting us drink as high school kids. So like, I guess it's not cool, but we thought it was cool at the time.
Better off at their house.
Right.
And
I had those
But
parents too.
every group, everybody has. There's a group of parents there.
Yeah.
To supply that
right.
setting.
And so I started to think back, and
miss Jeff's mom.
I remember this happening, and basically I remember being terrified as like a 16-year-old kid because somebody did steal the money. Like they had all had a poker tournament, all the parents and all the kids came over, and we were all drinking, having a good time. They were all drinking, having
You're
a
a
good
dickhead,
time.
but you're no thief.
And exactly.
Like,
and
yeah.
I remember him flipping out and basically said, "Line up everyone here and I'll beat their fucking ass until somebody fesses up to the money." And this guy was a big guy. Like, I mean, he was like, you know, he was one of those people who never left his hometown.
You
played
boys ready
football.
for your cock meat sandwiches?
Played football. He was known as like this guy that was like, you know, really aggressive and that
They
kind
called
of
him
thing.
Tank.
And
Yeah.
and so I clearly didn't have the money because I was scared. Like if I would have stolen it, I would have given it back to him right then. I would have been like, "Hey, didn't know," like, you know, whatever. But I responded to him and I was like, "Hey, I remember that." And I said, "I thought you guys figured out that it was one of the other like drunk uncles that like passed out in the yard and you guys found the money." And then he types back and he says, "No, my daughter and this girl I used to date in high school told me you stole it." And then I was like, "Nope. All right. This shouldn't matter to me because this was 14 years ago."
That's why
but
you
it fucking
texted me
does
that
ma-
night.
Yeah.
Now I know what you're talking about.
But I was like,
The daughter stole it.
well, I'm getting there.
That's my theory.
So,
Right.
so then I went on a deep dive because I was like, this shouldn't bother me, but it does. So I direct messaged the daughter that I used to hang out with that was a friend of mine, and I direct messaged the girl I used to date, and I said, "Hey, I know this is really weird and completely out of the blue, but do you remember telling this person's dad that I stole money?" And the daughter responded. The other one didn't respond. Likely, I mean, that's understandable. We had a very terrible breakup. But the daughter responded and said, "No, I don't remember telling my dad that, but the girl you dated told me that you also stole my birthday money one year when you came down to Bloomington."
She's the thief.
So then that's what blew my mind, and this is like all coming full circle about the like getting famous and then stuff coming up about you later. So like then I started putting things together, and I was like, dude, there's probably a lot of people that I grew up with that have this like crazy theory that I'm like this terrible human that steals money and does drugs and all this stuff that is not true. And the girl I was dating is actually that person the entire time. And I just didn't know it because she was telling everybody that I was the one stealing stuff. So then like it blew my mind. And then it kind of tied to this where
It blew your mind like she blew you so good that you just didn't see it.
but that just makes me think like if I was to get famous, how many people would be like that guy that DM'd me on Facebook and just randomly
gives a shit.
Exactly. One thing to think.
But that was the
gives
point
a
I was
shit?
getting ready to make is when I was talking to Jake, I said, then I'm famous and I don't care anymore.
Right.
Yeah,
Block.
yeah. You get
Just
there,
block
deal
'em.
with that,
Yeah.
deal with that problem when it comes around. But like these days with deep fakes and stuff.
Oh
like,
yeah, it's gonna get weird.
You
It gets
can't.
weird.
Well, and I think it's gonna be like people aren't gonna be able to prove anything because you can make
you
anything
can say
look
Right.
look like the real thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know.
But one of the things I'm taking away from this is kind of like my first thought is how do I get a celebrity to endorse me if I make a fake video so that I can become rich like that?
Yeah. Well,
And then
he's
my
not
s-
gonna become rich.
And then my second thought is nobody knows who this kid is, but on social media he just got 300,000+ $1,000+ because somebody backed him.
But he's probably not going
I
to get
got
the
it.
money.
Not saying whether he gets the money or not.
I know how we can do this.
No, none of these. This is a complete stranger to 99% of the people that are just like, oh, I have to donate to this.
Yep, and everybody wants to
But
feel good
nobody's
about
looking
themselves.
around them in their own personal space and taking care of. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that's what fucks with me. It's not like I have a friend who has a son that's bullied at school, but that would be like, nah, fuck your son. This little dude in Australia that might be he might be fucking with us, but I'm gonna give him $1,000 to go to Disneyland. You know?
Give him a card for.
What's your
like, a
idea, by
boxing-
the way?
Oh no! If we're gonna like raise money like this person, I got a camera in my Uber. I'll pick you guys up, and you guys just like. Well,
You're an
blur-
Uber driver?
Yeah, well,
Dude, you just opened pen. Oh,
Well,
all right,
I'm
here we go.
I'm a comedian, but I do drive Uber about 50 hours a week.
All right,
Wow.
I got
Not-
some
not
questions.
that
I got
much.
some questions. I got some questions.
I'm lucky if I get 30 in.
He's about to
But,
just ask you all of the stereotypical
No, but
Uber questions.
you guys come in and you talk shit to me and like tell me I stink and slap me in the back of the head. And I'll be like, people are so rude to Uber drivers, and then we'll make a GoFundMe
Yeah.
for me being bullied as an Uber driver.
Have you ever had anybody throw up in your car?
Oh man, yeah, it sucks. now.
Did you beat the shit out of them for it?
I don't want to get an assault charge. like,
How much did Uber give you though? Did they give you like?
so it
$100?
used to be like they just give you money.
Yeah.
And a certain, like, it was like $250, I think.
Like a
it goes
detailing
down.
cost.
Well, now what they do is you have to go take it somewhere professionally, get a receipt, and then
And
send the
upload the
receipt.
receipt.
So this is always a question that I've always wanted to ask an Uber or Lyft driver.
Okay.
Okay. So it's 2:00 in the morning. You pick two people up.
Okay.
You're giving them a ride.
No more than 4.
They let's say like you go somewhere, you pull up to a club, some chick requested an Uber or dude, and you get halfway to their house and they're passed out, and you're like, yeah, whatever, I'll wake them up when we get there. You pull up, you try waking them up, they're not waking up because they're just that fucked up. What are you gonna do? What do you do? Like
You just
you're,
drag 'em out
you're,
and leave
you're
'em
doing
on.
Call
it.
911.
You're doing everything. I mean,
I got to
do
do
you pull?
CPR.
Do you pull? No, I'm not saying they're dying. I mean, they're just so,
So they're
fucking
breathing?
trash.
Just blacked out.
They're
not
just
moving.
so trash that they won't wake up no matter how hard you try to wake them up.
I'm
Do you,
calling
Do
911
you drag
if
them
they
up
won't
and
wake-
leave them there, or do
Right.
you call the
I
cops?
called 911
No.
immediately. If somebody
Firemen
won't,
carry him into the house.
he was saying they're not responding at all. Like if they're
No,
not
I mean
responding
like
at all,
they're alive and healthy.
Okay.
They're just so fucking wasted. They're just like, like you just can't wake them up. They're just so fucked
Carry him
up.
in the house. Then you do a little
Cash app
tip.
yourself.
Yeah, you take their phone.
they gotta walk in the house. I ain't dragging. I ain't. Yeah. No.
So
I ain't,
like if they're just passed out in the back seat,
what if
you're
they
just-
walk in and die, and then they're like, look at this Ring doorbell, watching this Uber driver drag a limp body. Like, what happened before the ride? Before the
That's
they're gonna think I killed his ass.
That's
So you gotta-
kind of why I'm asking. So it's
you gotta
like
get you gotta get yourself in the house.
so like would you call?
yeah, I also don't want to hurt my back.
He's
like,
already stated he would
Yeah.
call. He would call.
Yeah, the
911.
last thing he needs is like to rip their pants or something like that. And
Yeah.
then he's catching
Yeah.
a rape, kidnapping
yeah,
charge.
like probably gonna make like $5 to $8 on it. Like I'm not going to prison
Because I was listening.
because I didn't call.
I was
911.
listening to Burt Kreischer on Pat McAfee's show, and he said something about like I'm so Florida that like I can't turn down doing cocaine sometimes. Like I don't know
Burt
if you guys have listened to
said
that.
that?
Yeah, Burt
Oh.
Kreischer. I'm the
Kreischer.
same
That's a
way.
Florida thing?
Kreischer, shut up, fucker. But I'm kind of the same way. Like if I'm out and you're like, hey, you want to hit this? I'm like, yeah, absolutely. And I know I shouldn't, but I do it.
Yeah.
Or if you're like, hey, you want to bump this? I'm like, yeah, absolutely.
I'm the same way with donuts.
Let's do it.
But no,
I can't help myself. So it's like
I'm
there
thinking
has
about
been a
that.
time where I've been in the back of an Uber and I remember being like, if I close my eyes,
I'm not waking up.
is this dude just gonna leave me in the back of his car, or is
Well-
he gonna drag me out in the fucking sidewalk? I'm gonna wake up outside.
what I assume by calling, but I assume that there's probably a lot of people that do just kind of like maybe pull people out and just leave them wherever they were supposed to be.
Well, and also like in that situation, like maybe we call the news and it's like Uber driver saves passenger. I'm like, yeah, just wasn't blah blah blah. Also, I'm a comedian. I'm, and I get some free airtime. You know,
We've got shows
6
at
o'clock.
1949 and Ellison Brew Company come out at 8 o'clock.
Let's
I don't
do
know
it.
what the time is.
Yeah.
Like, check me out on the Mitch Tapes YouTube. You
So
know?
I'm gonna pivot and swing.
I did do CPR.
I'm gonna pivot and swing this way because I am curious. I heard you used to be a bodybuilder.
Yeah, many
How'd
moons ago.
How'd you
Like,
dive into that world? Was
uh,
Arnold a big
Used
part
to
of it?
be.
Yeah.
No, I mean he's fucking jacked.
Yeah.
He's fucking jacked.
Used to. I mean, so
Was Arnold?
it-
Did Arnold have anything to do with it?
I did like
as an
some Arnold,
inspiration.
yeah. So I smoked for like about a pack and a half cigarettes a day for 10 or 12 years, something like that. Quit smoking, put on like 40 pounds real quick, and then I couldn't get up and down the stairs, and I'm like, oh, I need to do something. So I started working out.
It just went from there.
Went from there.
Did
but
you compete or anything?
I did.
Yeah.
The last time I did was back in like 06.
Damn.
Since then, it's just been double IPAs,
Yeah.
triple layer nachos. So
But do you still work out? Do you still go to the gym
Yeah.
regularly?
yeah, I still go 2 or 3 days
Yeah.
a week, but
Nice.
So is that
How
something
much
that?
you bench?
So is that something
You
kind
know
of
what
like?
I'm talking- it's SNL. Remember that skit they did?
we're here to
Whatever.
pump you up.
We're gonna pump you up.
People would call in. They'd be like, "What's your name? How much you bench?" Hi, this is Kevin, 275.
So is it something that since you were young you wanted to dive into, or is it kind of like I'm making some changes, I'm just gonna dip my toes in it and try it out?
No, as a kid, I had my next door neighbor was a big meathead, and he owned a gym called Leo's Gym in Beech Grove.
Okay.
Super nice guy.
Was he a huge Lou Ferrigno fan?
Yeah, I think he was. Yeah.
Just from
How
the
did you
name.
know?
Just from the name.
But cool dude, and he was like one of these just roided out '80s bodybuilder dudes, But he would give me a free membership, so I'd come in on especially in the summertime, and just kind of watch all these guys and be like, okay, I guess I can do this shit.
Yeah.
All right, awesome. That's awesome. Cause I'm fat and lazy, not fat. I'm fat and lazy. So like
That is correct.
Arnold was a huge inspiration to me when I was a kid. And I was always like, I always wondered if I could just tap into that
You can't.
little thing that Arnold had.
You can't.
Well, yeah, but it's been a long time since I've had that kind of discipline. I mean, it's like a whole lifestyle.
Yeah.
You don't.
It really
you
is.
drink- You carry around a gallon of water every day,
Yep.
with you, and
Right.
fucking eat every 2 hours, and yeah, that's just too
Like
much.
I remember seeing a video of Arnold like 5-6 years ago where he's like, he was talking about like lifting, and he's like, yeah, but if I want that pussy, I get that pussy, then I smoke some weed,
Yeah.
And then he's talking about like,
Governator.
yeah, like the wolf at the top of the hill is never as hungry as the wolf at the bottom of the hill. So if the wolf at the bottom of the hill is hungry enough, he's gonna go up there and take, like-
Yeah. No, I think it's a very interesting. I mean, if you think about it, like all of these things that we've talked about with like comedy, the weightlifting, like the fame and everything like that, it really does take a specific kind of drive. And I think 98% of the people out there don't have that drive to do it. But
They're not delusional enough.
right.
Most.
Exactly. That's true too.
Yeah, I'm pretty fucking delusional.
Well, I mean,
Talk about myself. Yeah.
Well, I mean, like with the bodybuilding, when you go out there, like you're bearing your soul on a totally different level
Yeah,
than comedy.
bodybuilding is different.
Like
yeah.
you're exposing yourself on a
Right.
totally different level where it's like, how many people like
I wouldn't say different level. I think
I would.
It would be a different way of doing that.
No, I'm gonna say on a different level, but how many times have you been in a pool and you see 4 or 5 guys who get in a pool with their shirts on?
I don't know. I don't see that
Or
often.
like Arnold getting in a pool with his shirt on.
Yeah, like I mean that's
I
that's
just
a
don't want people
level.
to see my nipples right now.
Do it, come on. But that's a level of insecurity that a lot of people have. They don't want to expose what.
But
they
I'm
have to
saying
work
that there's
for.
still a level of insecurity for people going on stage too that don't want to talk in front of people.
Yeah, it's levels to this shit, bro.
But I'm
Thanks
not
for
saying
proving
that
my
they're
point.
different levels. I'm saying they're probably the same level, just in a different way.
That's why I think like me being slightly delusional is a superpower because I can get on stage and be like, yeah, they want to hear this. They want to hear me talk. I'll keep talking at you. Like,
Da-da-da-da. It's delusional, man.
no, I'm joking
A
though.
big motivation I had when I was a kid was up until about 14. I don't even think my balls had dropped. And I had like
And?
a little mullet, and I would get confused for it. Like sometimes I would get called a girl. Like I kind of had little tits.
Righteous, man.
Had some little tits going on. And I'm just like,
You weren't doing the mullet right, I
Right?
guess.
yeah.
How
then
how
I'm
long
like,
was your mullet?
shoulders.
Have you ever seen how like big mullets like are in Canada and hockey, like that culture.
I'm getting ready to
Like-
fuck the mullet game up in Indianapolis.
He's growing
Get a
it.
flo- you're
Oh,
gonna
yeah.
get a
Look
flow
at it.
going.
I'm below the shoulders right
Yeah.
now. It's
Get-
getting there.
Get the flow going.
Oh, it's gonna be. I'm getting the Dale Earnhardt #3 on this side and the American flag on this side. It's
You're gonna get 50
It's
stars.
gonna be majestic. Oh no, there's only gonna be 24 stars.
It's like I can see some guy
Jeff
with, like,
Gordon on one side, Dale Earnhardt on the other.
No, I
Lookity,
definitely
lookity.
could see. I could definitely see Johnny pulling off the mullet.
I'm gonna do the mutton chops too. It's gonna be badass. Oh yeah, I'm going full Wolverine on this bitch.
I feel like you have to have like a lot stronger jawline to pull off the mutton chops.
Well, we'll work on that after the show. But one thing I do always ask people that come through here, especially comedians, because I am a huge fan of comedy. I'm just too scared to try it out. When was that pivotal moment in your life, whether you were young, teenager, or older? What was that joke? Who was that comedian? Who was it you saw that made you think, "Oh, I'm doing this. I'm trying this out."
God, I would probably say Steve Martin. Like,
Really?
as a kid, I just remember listening to he had an album called Let's Get Small. And I would just listen to that thing over and over. And I mean, the dude was just like, he was just insane. And I thought, oh, I could probably be that kind of stupid.
See, I know Steve Martin, the actor. I don't
Yeah.
know Steve Martin, the comedian.
Dude was hilarious. I mean, his stand up was just so. There's you guys hear like the master class thing?
Yep.
Yeah.
So there's a Steve Martin master class about writing comedy, performing comedy,
Yeah.
and all that. And I watched that, and it just took me back to like, my as a kid because I watched him on SNL and everything. So
Right. Well, nice.
I think two things. One was Patrice O'Neill.
Ooh, good fucking.
Like,
yeah,
Rest in peace.
yeah, like that one. In my opinion, he's on Mount Rushmore. But
Do you ever watch The Green Room
no,
on HBO with him?
I gotta check that out.
Oh my god, it's like a comedy round table, man.
Well,
I recommend anybody
Green
YouTube the Green Room.
I'll have to
It's
check that out.
tremendous.
But Patrice was it.
Not what just the way he told jokes.
Yeah.
Like was that was the first time I was like, oh, that's awesome. Like like it's not always like you kind of think of like you see Jerry Seinfeld.
God,
And
he's the worst.
which he's great. I mean,
I love Jerry.
He's great.
He's the worst.
He's just like, I don't know. He tries to be perfect at it. Where I saw Patrice, he was up there just, he'd make decisions. It seemed like with what he was saying, like it wasn't all like structured. Like he knew what he was
Right.
going to talk about, and like I can't. My brain doesn't work where I can write down every single word and remember every single word that I'm going to say.
Exactly.
But I know what I can talk about the same thing. It just may not be the same.
I've got
way.
these 3 doors during this conversation that I can go through. That's going to lead me to this door. There's
Yeah.
different avenues. Like eventually, it's all going to come together while
Yeah.
I'm talking about it. But yeah,
But he, it's like he just seemed like he kept just like a rhythm with it, things. But that, and then I read a book called Born Standing Up. It was when I first started doing comedy, and I think I was Steve Martin, too.
I think so.
Yeah, but he,
did you say Born Standing Up?
yeah, Born
'Cause I'm
Standing
gonna
Up.
look that up.
But it just, it just talked about when he first started doing stand up about how just nobody being there, and it's like if you're gonna, he was getting paid to do this show for like basically nobody, but I kind of think of that like to doing open mics isn't fun typically. I mean, some nights an open mic is awesome, like a bunch of people show up and you have fun. The show, but if you don't do the open mics like we were talking about. So anyway, long story short, between those two, I kind of quit putting so much pressure on myself to have something perfect just to get to an open mic. Like what stopped me from, what made me resist doing comedy in the beginning was, oh, I'm not ready.
Right.
Like this ain't ready to be heard. I got to write this more. Like, I was too.
Eventually, you just have to
Yeah.
do
So
it.
eventually, you got to let it fly
Yep.
and figure it out.
Yep.
And the Born Standing Up. That's kind of what Steve Martin did. I believe it was Steve Martin that wrote that book. It was.
I don't know.
But anyway,
I was gonna say
thought
that
you
would
guys
be
looked it up.
interesting if it tied together
Yeah.
right there.
But anyway, seeing how he kind of the Born Standing Up idea, like
Steve Martin.
it's like he wasn't like ready right away. Like he was up on stage figuring it out, and then it turned into like basically a rock concert.
Right.
And then to see Patrice do it as this guy that can just put me into tears, and
Right.
it doesn't look like this structured perfect joke like Jerry Seinfeld. I was like, I can, not that I can do Patrice, but I can, you know.
You get that vibe.
So you're. This is always a fascination, a thing that fascinates me. Like when people can improvise while they're on stage, even though they've got a set act. Because you're a fan of Patrice and you've been doing this for 8 years or so, is that something where like you have, okay, these are the jokes that I've got written, these are the jokes that I wrote, but when I'm on stage, if I feel like I can take it to another direction, do you ever improvise and do that?
Yeah, well, because
Because we've had other comedians where they're like, no, I stick completely to what I wrote, and I'm gonna do that, and then after I do the show, I'll go home and then I'll reforge it.
Yeah, so what I try to do, you know, I do them basically the same, but they may not be in the same order, or like maybe some, you know, the audience reacts some way, and I just keep going into a bit, you know. I've
Like
heard
adding layers to it.
I heard Jerry Lewis, Jerry Lee Lewis, and another comedian that I saw on Reddit, both say that, you know, comedy is all about rhythm.
Yeah.
So when I go on stage, I try to, you know, I have a lot of material, and what I used to run into is I'd get to it's time to do it, and I got my set material, and I'm like, this all sucks. I hate all of this, and I don't want anybody to hear this, but I've already committed to it.
Right.
With having a bunch of material, I can go up there and, you know, start with what I want to talk about, let the rhythm lead me kind of where I'm going, and then I usually, you know, I know exactly what I'm going to do to get out of it. You know, but like I said, I got bits that I talk about. It just, the way it weaves is just kind of how it goes with the room. You know, if I'm doing you know, 1949 and it's packed, you know, that's kind of home court, you know, I feel a little bit
Comfortable.
freer. Yeah, you know what I mean? But if it's, you know, I don't know.
That's what-
But I
just
think it's
different.
brilliant how you're saying that, because it's like, as a fan, sometimes you can kind of tell when somebody's like, okay, I got point A through D, I'm gonna stick to this, and I'm just gonna do it no matter what. Like sometimes you can feel that energy, like whether it's going good or bad.
Well,
And I think it's a really beautiful thing when somebody can be like, okay, this is kind of, I need to take this, I need to take this over here now, and then we're going to transition and come over here now. Oh, okay, now the energy's picking up, so now we're going to go with this flow. We're going to ride this wave. I think that's beautiful. I don't know. This is...
And I think it's just a way of doing it. You know, it's kind of like, you know, Picasso painted this way, this person painted the Mona Lisa that way.
More than
and
one
like,
way to skin a cat.
Yeah, like, you know, like Jerry's going to be a billionaire. Like, you know,
It's unfortunate.
So,
He's not even funny at all.
I don't know exactly how much money he has, but
I've never seen an episode of Seinfeld.
God, I hate
Yeah,
I
but-
hate Jerry so bad.
I don't hate Jerry. I just never seen
I
it.
fucking hate him.
But if you took away all his views of Seinfeld and he started from one again right now, like he would still outpace everybody.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Like, and comedians in cars getting coffee is just like, it's so simple and brilliant. Like it makes me angry.
Right.
Like it's like, Jerry, why you get all these great ideas that are so easy to do? Like that's the easiest thing to produce. Set up
It
cameras.
makes me mad that people even enjoy it.
I'll come pick you up. We'll
Yep.
get coffee. I'll take you home. Done.
Yeah.
I only say that because he's a Seinfeld fan.
But-
and-
Yeah, I'm a huge Seinfeld fan. The
like
show
I like
and
Jerry.
his stand up. You know what's really interesting is one of my favorite.
Jay Leno was always funnier than Seinfeld.
You're a fucking clown.
Oh,
You're a
man.
I never
clown.
thought Jay
Get
Leno
him
was
out of
funny.
here.
know
Just
what?
kick him out of the. I'm not even gonna keep him as my co-host. I'm gonna be looking.
Oh, I saw you
Uh,
texting Shane on
Yep,
Facebook
we'll go
saying,
ahead
"I
and do
miss
that.
you, buddy."
Yeah,
that's
we'll
cool.
do that.
One thing I was gonna say is like, you know, industry wide, essentially, like you need to be like Jerry. Like you need to know what exactly you're gonna say. But me, like I said, I'm more interested in being like in the moment with the audience. And if I'm going into the next joke and I don't believe it, like I don't feel not that I don't believe it, but like I don't feel like it's the right move. Like I got to have the freedom to go into what I want to go into,
Right.
Because that's where that's where I get my best energy on stage. I feel like.
Yeah,
That's important.
And you can't just like stop and be like, oh wait, that's not what I was just
Yeah, exactly. Like,
they
that's
don't know
important.
what they don't know what they don't know how the set goes.
Right.
So
Right.
like you just keep going with it, and
Right.
one thing that I heard recently that I kind of really kind of hit me was they were talking about comedy on some show or something I was listening to, and they were talking about how this guy can go into any room and he kills, but nobody can ever remember the jokes that he said. And then he was like, and then there's comics that can go in there and you really like it imprints on your brain the joke that they said. And I find myself doing that a lot because I appreciate and laugh at people. Even I've gone to a bunch of open mics where somebody's joke didn't necessarily land well, but I got the like idea of the joke, so I thought it was hilarious and I laughed. And I find myself a lot of the times when I'm watching comedy that I'll laugh and then I'll like go back to my brain and be like, so what specifically did they talk about that made me laugh? And I can't remember it because and I don't know what that is. I don't know if that like is a sign of a good comedian or a sign of like a bad comedian.
a good way that I heard of putting it is I was in L.A. Not bragging. Now there was a musician that said that he believed, and it goes back to this rhythm thing, that he believed, all music was a building of tension and release. Any music you like, it builds to a tension point, and then they release it, a way that's awesome if they're good. Comedy is the same way, and if my worst sets are when I can just feel I'm not in this building of tension and release. You know what I mean? Like when I first started doing comedy, and I'll do this with new bits sometimes too, that or in a room that I'm not feeling, the best in, but I'll talk too fast, and you almost have to commit to like the moments of silence where people, or not silence, but like
Pauses.
being used to know everybody just listening, and then it builds a tension because nobody's laughing, and then you release it with a big house laugh, and then you get back to and again, like I said, I think that's kind of what they're doing, like whatever they're saying, they're building some kind of tension and then releasing it, and then like if they did it again, it wouldn't be as funny.
And I think your point that you're making about that is very crucial to what I was saying, that reminded me about kind of more of that conversation between those guys talking about comedy, is that there are some people that will keep the crowd laughing so much that they don't have time to like recover. So that's why they didn't remember a lot of the bits, because the guy just kept tagging and doing more and more, adding on to the joke, which is great because the room is having a great time, but it also makes it so that you may not be that memorable because you're literally not giving them a break.
And when you do have an audience, you're just trying to keep things rolling, So like if you got something that hit really hard, you can either move on to your next joke or ride it out a little bit and just make people laugh a little bit harder about it.
Well, and talking to you also makes me realize how not experienced I am, and I appreciate it. I appreciate like hearing the thoughts that you have on comedy, because, like I said, stuff that I have not even thought about.
Well, and I don't know everything.
I know.
I'm
just.
But
I'm just-
I mean, there's this, there's 8 years of wisdom, 8, 9, 10 years of wisdom that you're sharing.
Yeah, no, I.
With a room of people that are, I mean, you could eat all the dicks, but now we're like, well, I got to gobble on all the dicks now too, because that's the learning experience.
This year is actually exciting for me because I've already got shows lined up to begin this year.
That's awesome.
And I feel like I've there's a lot of material. Like I got a lot of books that I've been writing through, to get to this point, and I'm excited to. This is the first year I've ever had shows lined up kicking off. So
do you write by hand?
Yes.
How about you, Terry? Or do you type?
Pretty much right by hand.
Yeah. In a notebook. Yeah, I find myself a lot of the times.
He writes through me. He sends me an idea. I write it for him, and then he goes and performs it.
I'm not gonna lie. I do think of a lot of things, and I send them to probably 3 people, and I just kind of see what their feedback is on it, and then I try to kind of like tweak it to make it sound more like my voice, I guess. I have a really hard time forcing myself to sit down and write.
Yeah.
So like a lot of the times I'll think of something while I'm doing something or in a conversation. Like we had a conversation last night where I just kind of like said something about because we're getting ready to have a baby and it's a girl, and I like made a joke like, oh man, it's great. Everybody's like giving me all this like praise, like, oh, it's so great that you guys actually kind of made it through this. And I was like, yeah, but I really wish it was a boy. and then my
She won't be able.
There
to
was a group.
understand
There
this
was
for
a
years,
group
so
of strangers
it's okay.
around us that were like,
and then
What?
my buddy made a joke. He said, you can only say that one time, and then you're not allowed to say it again. And I was like, dude, that's kind of like almost like a punchline or a tag to a joke. So I like just took it in my phone, and I was like, now I'll go back to this and try to maybe actually formulate a joke out of it. And I find that that's the easy, like, because when I sit down to write, I just get ADD. And I don't think I've never been diagnosed with having any kind of
you
attention
definitely
deficit
100%
disorder.
have it.
But I like when I sit down to write, I'm like, I start writing, and then I'm like, okay, and I look at my phone. Like I've had to put my phone in another room.
Have you ever seen or have you ever read the Art of or War of Art?
Mm-mm.
I've talked about this on a couple podcasts. So if anybody's ever heard me talk
Is it
about
Sun
this,
The
Tzu?
Art of
Sun-
War
Sun
or the
Tzu.
War of Art?
the War of Art.
The
So
War
it's-
of Art
yeah.
is, yeah.
So that it's essentially like the things you want to do, you have a resistance to doing that. And it's not that you don't want to sit down and write comedy, it's that you have a resistance.
Right.
And part of it could be, and this is,
That makes a lot of sense, actually.
and like a big part of the resistance is like you know, like when I first started writing, I thought like, man, if it's not the best joke I ever wrote, there's no reason in finishing this joke. So I would just have like half written jokes instead of like, and it goes into another book, this guy that wrote this called Turning Pro, and it talks about just having a place where you practice. So like for me, it would be like an hour of writing a day is what I try to do, 6 days a week.
Yeah.
And
You
I
said
don't
it's called Turning Pro.
Turning Pro and War of Art.
I've
But-
read the War of Art. I didn't
Okay,
understand
yeah.
it when I read it because I was young.
but I mean, there's a lot to it. But essentially, like you just make a time and a place where you're showing up to do it, and you still like get those moments of like, writing something down. But whether you come up with the best joke ever or you just went through the exercise, you build the habit, and
Right.
that's what anyway.
Yeah, I mean,
Hey,
it's just it's.
Do you want to go get some Ponderosa after this?
You know what's funny about that? My when my wife moved into the house that we live in before we met, she said that her grandpa didn't say anything, and then they saw a Ponderosa, and he goes, "Oh, you got Ponderosa." Like it was like they were there for like almost an hour, like looking at things. It was like, "Oh, Ponderosa's down the street."
This is a good town. It's got a Ponderosa.
Like my granddaughter has arrived. I got the hookup now. Like.
Yeah, so that was actually my first job, was Ponderosa. I started out as a cashier, then I moved on to serving, and serving there was like the easiest server job of all time because
Because
people are getting their
everybody
own
does their own
stuff.
shit.
Yeah, you're literally just bringing them drinks.
Yeah, that's why we didn't tip you.
Well, I did pretty well.
Oh, you
with
want
tips.
steaks?
As a-
They're over there. That's my kind of server job. I tip jars over here. Steaks.
But no, Jen and I, we have one down the road, and it's I guess it's close to Beach Grove, kind of by Vasa Fitness, I think,
Yeah.
or Vasa Fitness,
Yeah.
however you say it. But we always pass it, and we're like, man, we should go there sometime, and we never did. And then finally, just last weekend, we went, and talking about being in public places, and BJ had mentioned, I think, somebody in a public place being like weird to you, like a Karen or something like that.
Yeah.
What I wanted to bring up on the podcast was kids in public places, and I am very nervous about having a kid because we're sitting there eating, having our meal, and this snotty nose, like I'm not
Now,
even
did you
kidding.
guys
like,
go full buffet, or
Oh,
did
yeah.
you actually order?
oh, I got a steak. I got a steak and a buffet, and that steak really was not good. It like fucked my stomach up. But anyways,
I'm surprised.
How much do you buy when it's unlimited? Like,
So, if someone's in the back going, someone ordered a steak?
oh God.
Shit, John's not here. Who's fixing this?
but no, this kid,
Let me microwave it. I get you.
it actually looked microwave. I'm not even kidding. It was like super like purple red on one end.
Yeah, this thing's
And, like-
got 30 more seconds.
But this snotty-nosed kid, I'm not kidding, like snot running from his nose down his chin, turns around and looks at us and says, "Hi." And I was like, startled, and I was like, "What?"
Do I punt this kid?
This is like, "Hey." And he just sat there and stared at us while we ate. And his parents like kind of like looked at him, and then they just went back to eating. I was like, "What?
See,
Wouldn't you at least say like,
That's what
hey,
he does.
kind of leave them alone?" That's the
Right.
the response I think we got from that family.
Well, just speaking from an Uber Lyft rider, there's some parents that like they'll want me to drive them, and they'll have a little baby that they're hanging on to, and they don't have a car seat. So like
That's scary.
some people, I'm just saying, and I gotta be like, no, I can't drive. I can't. You need.
We can't do that.
Yeah, you need a baby car seat for that baby.
Mhm.
I don't know why you trust me so much. To, like
This baby becomes a projectile
You're
if
in
I
a-
hit
For
something.
all you know, I woke up this morning. I said, "This is the fucking day."
this is a Prius. I mean, it's got a good safety rating, but it's not that safe.
Right.
But no, just I think some people. There's also the free range parenting. So there's maybe we'll let them bother the.
See, that shit
stranger.
makes me uncomfortable.
Let 'em
Like if
figure it out.
if I'm in a line at Kroger and like this little kid sitting in a cart's like, "Hi," I'll be like, hey.
Yeah.
And then like the next conversation that he tries to have with me, I'm looking at the mom or dad like, no offense, but you gonna shut this little dude?
Right.
I think I
like
was
it.
kind of
Accused
like
of
that as a kid though.
But me, I was too. But I have this weird and like impending sense of like, okay, who's watching me now? Like, why is
Yeah.
this kid talking to me? I know I'm not that guy, but now I feel like somebody thinks I'm gonna
sting
snatch.
operation.
Where's Chris
This-
Hansen?
Now I feel like somebody thinks I'm gonna snatch this kid out of the cart and start running, and it's
Yeah,
like,
I'll-
just leave me alone. I
Might
don't
wanna-
know you.
Might want to rethink this whole mullet thing.
Oh, that's
But I'm just,
a valid point.
Oh,
hey,
that's-
get! Like, maybe it'll help. You get,
Hey, get out of here.
But no, it was just the Ponderosa.
Did
is
you at
such
least-
a great melting
Did
pot
you at
of
least
people,
wash,
too.
like, get the snot off
No,
of his face?
I'm not gonna fucking touch that kid. Are you kidding me? That's disgusting.
What are you trying to say? That you're too good for
I will
Ponderosa?
say 100%, and I've said this before on the podcast, and my wife and I have talked about it. I'm nervous that I'm not gonna like holding my kid, but everybody says that it's fine when it's your kid. You'll not have that because I do not like holding babies. I
Me
don't
either.
really like interactions with kids until they can like actually talk and have a good time and like like
And
with-
if you drop
I
them,
I'll
actually-
see you when you can add to this conversation.
exactly.
Like,
I'm not kidding.
I ain't
That's
got
the way
the time,
it is.
babe.
And
See, I love kids. I just, like, prefer it to not be a stranger's child, like,
And-
just
and-
initiating.
And what everybody says too is that they think it's funny because my wife's family is full on like they baby talk with the kid. They like will everybody wants to hold the kid and everything like that. And they kind of all make fun of me because I'm the outcast because I don't want any of that. I'm like they're like, "You want to hold the new baby?" And I'm like, "No, thank you."
Justin's like, I'm gonna enjoy my White Claw.
And-
Y'all have a good time.
But what's funny, what is
I
also
don't want a responsibility.
what also is funny about that whole situation though is once the kids are older, like and they are talking like and play, I end up being like the favorite person that they want to gravitate to hang out with because I talk to them like a normal person. And I think that, or at least that's what I think, is that I talk to them like a normal person. I like listen to what they say and like interact with them. And I just think that it's funny that they all make fun of me for not really wanting to hold the kid, but then I end up becoming one
because
of the
you're
favorite
not
people.
talking to an 8-year-old like, oh, do you want the carrot?
You're playing mind games.
Exactly.
I get such anxiety holding like little babies.
Oh yeah.
So my stepsons have 6 kids between
Holy
the two of them.
shit.
Yeah.
I
They're
thought that
doing
was
well.
just a
Ranging,
joke.
no, it's for real. Ranging from like 1 month. One of them's got 2 baby mamas,
Damn.
2 babies, all like 2 weeks
'Cause you-
apart from each other. But anyway,
Dang, making it happen.
I get anxious holding these little tiny babies because their head they're like.
It's like wobbling around.
Yeah, you gotta watch
Yeah.
out for their spinal
Well,
cord.
see, for me, it's
Gotta
like,
keep that straight.
So what if I just have like some freak seizure and I drop this kid?
Yeah.
I'm
You know-
constantly
see, for
thinking,
me,
You know why
I'm
you're-
always wondering, like, what if I just squeeze?
See, you get dark, don't you?
No,
He's
no,
got
no.
dark,
You want
dark
to know
thoughts.
something though? Do you know why the babies are why babies are born so fragile?
Because you can throw them.
No, that's good lord. You watch too much Game of Thrones. No, but like it takes so much energy to grow the brain that you don't have anything. You don't have enough left to like
Right.
grow a big strong body.
Oh shit! See,
So,
I thought you could just drop them.
That's why humans are so.
dust them off. and they're
That's why
cool.
humans are so. Well, I mean, yeah, babies bounce back. Like, so one time.
I never
So
did.
one time my nephew he fell and busted his lip on a stair and there was blood and anyway it turned out that he was okay, but like immediately right after it happened and they walked out, like it was this whole dramatic scene. One of my aunts goes, "Kids bleed." Like they're really resilient, you know. Just like because everybody was like, and he was fine, you know. They didn't even do anything. They just his everything just went back to normal. But like everybody was like, "What the?"
I grew up with a whole family of
But-
your aunt. Which
Oh,
is
me
like,
too.
If you get fucked up, you're fine. You'll
Rub
be
some
all right.
dirt on it.
You'll be okay.
Me too.
I have a giant scar that like actually pushes my bottom lip out because of that. Like I was running on a park bench, tripped and fell, bit through my lip, and it's still there.
Yeah, but nowadays I'm like 31 and I got a knee injury that I've had for like 6 weeks.
What'd you
That's
do?
not doing. Man, so like you seen on those videos of Adam Sandler playing basketball. So like that, and there was an interview with Michael Jordan talking about like, even if I wasn't the greatest ever, that's not how he sounds, but like he's like, I'd still play basketball, you know,
Yeah.
because I love it. And I was like, you know what, that's gonna be my New Year's resolution. I'm gonna play basketball more.
Okay.
And on the 8th day, I hurt my knee. So I don't know if that was like,
It's a sign.
yeah, but,
Don't
but,
play
like,
basketball.
yeah, like I'm done with my New Year's resolution. 8 days in.
On the 7th day, the jump shot was wet. On the 8th day, God said, "No more, son."
You know, the thing is, I was playing way too hard. Like, but you got to play hard because you know there's like,
Mitch goes hard in the paint.
yeah. Like sometimes I feel like I can almost dunk it, but it's just like a really close layup.
Right.
But not now.
You
shouldn't be
As
doing
a
that.
5'9" white guy, I know that feeling way too well.
Yeah. What are we at with time? Good.
I sent it to you.
Oh, okay. But yeah, I just wanted to, before we got out of here, I wanted to just go over real quick the reason we had you on, which is the Catch a Breath show, and also finish kind of with your guys' social media, how people can find you and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Okay. So Friday the 28th of February, Saturday the 29th,
This
two
ne-
shows.
This next coming weekend.
Yep.
Right. 2 shows, Catch Your Breath comedy. So it's a benefit for the American Lung Association. We got a lot of great comics. Saturday night, we've got Jeff Oskey from Bob and Tom.
He's hilarious.
Yeah, he's a hilarious, funny dude. And when I said, hey, you interested in doing a benefit for the ALA? He said, well, let me put this cigarette out first. He said, I'd love to. So we got Lisa Sears.
Yeah, that's one of the things I wanted to bring up is like how, because I smoke occasionally, and I was like, you know, it's
Me
gonna
too.
be interesting to talk about. You know, no, I'm not gonna talk about anything with smoking, but no, with that, do you think anybody like gets offended by that? Like if you're out there smoking with like, you know, outside the indie fringe or whatever?
Well, you know, I think part of the whole ALA is just, I mean, they raise money. I'm sure. So when I quit smoking like 20 years ago, I guarantee you that the chewing of the gum, the Wellbutrin, the, you know, all those different tactics, I'm sure a lot of those came from research that the
Right.
ALA did. So,
Well, there you go.
yeah.
Okay.
Well, and I'm excited because I'm hosting both nights. I actually lost my dad to lung cancer.
Oh, okay.
So
Wow.
you know, we're hoping to raise some money. Feels like a good way
It's
to
home, right?
Yeah, fight back. I mean, I'd socially smoke, you know, but I've nipped that in the butt the last 2 years. You know, not perfect, but
Right.
I think it's just a really good cause. And,
Yeah.
and then the stair climb is that's the weekend after, right?
Yeah, that's March 7th.
Yeah.
And I apologize. I interrupted you when you were saying the comedians that were going to be on there. So you said
yeah.
Jeff Oskey, and you also mentioned Lisa Sears, who also is a great local comedian as well.
Yeah, I think she was like voted Indy's best
Yep.
maybe last year.
Mm-hmm.
Angie Temple. If
Yep.
you met Angie, but she's one of the funniest ladies I know. And Tony Sanders. So that's and myself
Yep.
Saturday night.
Yep.
And then-
Awesome.
yeah.
And then the Friday lineup, we got
Who do we have? We got
we got Dyke Michaels.
Yeah.
is
Who's
on
great,
there.
and BJ's
Tommy
actually
Iyer.
pretty close with Dyke as well.
Justin, you're gonna be there
Yep.
Friday, so I know I'm missing somebody.
we got Jeff Goltz and
Yes.
Oh
Hefe.
yeah,
Jeff is
Yeah,
on
I
Hefe.
love
And
him.
Julio.
Julio.
Julio
Yep.
the Cockroach is hilarious. If you haven't seen Julio the Cockroach,
I want to get him
Him
in
and Jeff
here.
are
to do that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That would be so
Yeah.
fun.
I want to have a mic for him and Julio.
Yeah.
And he actually did this for us 2 years ago when we did the first one.
Nice.
yeah.
So he was one of the comics.
Yeah.
So he was happy to
He's
do it again.
yeah, and he was at the Level Up show. He's
Yeah.
super talented.
I on the
Jeff.
last podcast, I went into like kind of a long thing of like how much I like Jeff, because seeing his whole setup and like meeting him the first time, and like I had seen him do his set before I actually met him, and then I met him at the Level Up thing, and it was just like a completely different person than what I expected from seeing his set, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Totally.
yeah.
And he's a really cool guy, and I liked hanging out with him at Level Up.
Good personality. And we got Kristen Carnes, Tommy Ayers, Kyle Buck.
Nice,
Yeah.
yeah.
Buck,
Yep.
yeah.
He does his show out of
Franklin
Flyover Media
College.
Studios here.
I'm from Franklin College too.
Yeah.
we were at Franklin at the same time.
At the same time,
yeah,
huh?
me and Kyle.
Nice.
And then I
So-
think Kim Hahn. is
All
it,
right.
Yeah.
That's great. It's gonna be a great show. Anybody listening to this, you still have time to get tickets and to get there. It is at Indie Fringe Friday and Saturday. What the tickets are 20?
Tickets are 20, but I tell you what, I got a fantastic deal for Juice in the Morning listeners.
Uh-oh.
Oh.
So you go to indiefringe.org, get your tickets. You type in breath, all caps, BREATH. We give you half price or
Nice.
BOGO.
Breath half.
Nice.
Oh, shit.
There you go. I think Johnny will be able to afford to go now.
He's not lying. Oh. Can I get your free ticket whenever you type it?
No,
Kidding.
It's going to be a fantastic time. Thank you, BJ, for producing for us.
Thank you.
If you don't have a mouthful, did you want to give a shout out to all of the Flyover Media podcasts that are part of this? And I wanted to give a shout out to my friends out in Ohio, the Pointless Discussions podcast. I know that I've been kind of slacking on talking about the Magic Scroll Network just because we've got so much stuff going on. But I appreciate you guys being a part of Juice in the Morning, and I appreciate you guys allowing us to be a part of Juice in the Morning. We're going to be working on some short films that we're going to put together into like an anthology type film here coming up in the summer, so just look out for it.
I want to
What's
give a
anthology mean?
So it's like multiple short stories all
Ah.
put together, and they kind of tie together.
You working with Spielberg on that one?
Yes, actually,
I want to
the
give
daughter.
a shout out to
Yeah, I'm
this
working
like
with his daughter.
16, 17-year-old kid named Sam at Hot Box Pizza last night that understood how drunk and stoned combined that I was when I was like, I want you to fuck my pizza up with bacon, sausage, and banana peppers. And at one
Shout
point
out.
he turned around, he looked at me, he goes, I'm fucking this up like a masterpiece. And I was like, my guy.
Good
Yes.
friend.
It was the worst pizza I ever had, but it was also delicious. So thanks, Sam, from Hot Box.
Sam.
Yeah.
So what do we
Hot Box
got?
is good. We still have you come out on Mondays, Juice
Yep.
in the Morning. Tuesdays is Teen and Doe. Wednesdays is movie review. Thursday is Off the Cuff with Calvin Devon, two comedians. Friday now is Uncle Buckhouse with Buck and his
Nick Oakes.
Nick Oates, his co-host.
Yep.
And then we also have BJ Robbins Project on Monday, and then possibly another one coming out here shortly.
Oh, also, what I wanted to throw out there is BJ's birthday is coming up, and for BJ's birthday, I purchased an hour for us to do a show at Wave One Media downtown Indianapolis. It's kind of a podcast studio that has a big window in the front. They've got monitors, and we're gonna like kind of do, I would say, like a 40th birthday BJ Robbins project, and have maybe a few people in just to like kind of have as guests and kind of celebrate BJ. So
Yeah, I got a message about that from somebody. I was inviting them over to
Celebrate BJ.
the 29th, the 29th or whatever. And then I was like, no, it's the other 20. He thought he was talking about March 29th for
Right.
for the studio. And I was like, no. So I don't know how he found out about it.
yeah, was it the guys from
Yeah.
Espresso?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. So I've got that set up for BJ, but then the 29th, you're doing a
Next
Smugcast, right?
Yeah, a week from today we'll be.
Yep.
We'll be having a birthday party here. We'll be having blackjack, roulette, poker, and a podcast start around 9.
Yeah, and those of you guys that are probably here, I don't know if you know about it, but BJ was part of a very successful podcast that was also in the paper as like a top 10 podcast in Indianapolis that they ended up taking a break from it for a little while, and they're bringing it back occasionally throughout this year just for like kind of special episodes. So look forward to that, and that's all I got for you.
And I got
Oh, yeah,
Mitch
social
Downs,
media.
Yeah, Mitch Downs on Facebook, at Mitch Downs on Instagram, Twitter's Mitchell Allen DO2.
What happened with Twitter?
Well, yeah, what the fuck happened there?
It'll probably have to change. I actually am DO1 also, but I forget how to get into that one. So I own both of them.
Reset that password.
But yeah, I got Twitter. I don't have a very strong grip on, but I'm working on it. So something might have to happen with that one.
Yeah.
But also on YouTube, the Mitch tapes. Like instead of the
I
mixtape,
like that a lot.
The
I
Mitch
like that a
tapes.
lot.
And it's just stuff I've just kind of raw stuff I do at my open mics, which Wednesday is the 1949 Tavern. Comedians show up and we do things that we're working on, and then Tuesday at the Ellison Brewery.
I'm probably going to have to get to those so that I
Yeah.
can feel a little fresh for Friday.
Yeah, and like I said, it's just it's a good place to get things ironed out.
Yeah.
That's the first ever Kenny Moore jersey I've seen.
Kenny Moore, it's actually
No, that's not Kenny Moore. Fuck.
this is Frank Gore.
Nice. I like that. I
Gore.
like that
And
too.
he's just kind of a hero of mine, the way he bounced back from his knee injury. If you remember, it was
Right.
terrible.
I'm gonna sign with Chuck Pagano and Indianapolis Colts win a Super Bowl. Oh wait.
Wait a minute.
And then
Yeah,
Terry, where do
well-
they find you on social media?
On social media, Facebook and Instagram, it's Catch the Short Bus. And
What's that from, by the way?
It's great. Instagram's great.
yeah, I wrote a screenplay called Catch the Short Bus that I was trying to get made into a movie, and then I just started using that as my.
You kept it.
Catch the short.
Nice.
Yeah, we follow each other, and I didn't know who it was
Yeah.
behind it. And,
Yeah.
and until today, you said it, and I was like, oh, crap. I didn't realize that.
Yep.
That's me.
Nice.
That's awesome.
But you
He
can.
brought fucking donuts, too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I bet-
that's
Hey,
probably
one
the
more
thing. You
best
have a
thing that's
split
ever
three.
been brought
You have
by
a split
T-
difference
by-
taste in donuts as well because
Yes.
your selection was impressive.
Which
Hey,
means
I wanted to
he gave a fuck. That's why, you know?
Like
I panicked.
when I opened it and I saw the blueberry, I was like, oh my
There
god.
you go.
we got out. He
I
had
called ahead.
donuts and he had like notebooks. I'm like, shit. Was I supposed to bring something? I felt like first day of college. Like what? I thought they were gonna give us what we need.
But yeah, you can find Juice in the Morning on all your podcast streaming sites. You can find us on Twitter at Juice in the AM, Instagram at Juice in the AM, Facebook Juice in the Morning, and YouTube. Just search for Juice in the Morning. I think that's the easiest way because we don't have an official like link or like I guess YouTube.com/something. It's just a bunch of numbers and letters right now.
See the hair before the mullet.
Yes, exactly. And we'll release this episode on YouTube as well as a video. So look forward to that. We'll see you guys next week.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you
Peace.
guys.
Thanks.
Those geese are really going at it back there.
Yeah, sorry about